Good day. For the next topic, we'll be creating the basic and the formula how to create. We'll be managing the Autosum. I will go to a little bit of the borders and shading, how to insert a manual formula, to use the sum functions, insert functions, manipulate the average, maximum, and the minimum. We'll be discussing about relative versus the obsolete cell. What about the formula and errors? Writing a Excel formula will also be discussed. A simple exercise formula will be shown. A formula contains reference or names. A formula contains functions. A formula with the links. Then we will shall add dates. We'll try the common financial and the common mathematical add numbers. So this basically our topic for today. So for the basic formula, you can simply type in any of those cell the equal sign and then the cell address that you want to add, simply putting all those symbols and then you simply enter and then it will give you the answer for that. So the way to create a formula, we need to have these symbols. So we have an equal sign, plus, addition. As we all know, these are pandas. So basically, we just need to put it using our numeric keypad. All formulas start with an equal into the cell address and then type the numerators or the math operators that you need and then click. Well, obviously you need to continue to actually do those things in order for you to to finish all of those formula that you need to put in your cell. Now the following depicts the various formulas. Okay? So the total, you simply put equal C20, that refers to the column C, row number 20, C21, and etc. as we go on. For the actual sum, you can actually do the same. So the one in the budget and the one in the actual are typically the same. This one is the basic formula under the budget, while the annual used the sum functions considering the range of the cell from D20 to D3. Obviously, the same things with the one. Now, so there's a difference between using a manual formula and using a functions formula. Obviously, we could able to tell that a little bit later as we go through a lot of this. So for the Autosum, you don't need to do the basic formula or the function formula. You just simply click the buttons and then it will automatically compute the formula within. It will give you and provide you the numbers of all the data that you need to do. So here's the complete list on what to do and how to use those Autosum. Alright. So now, let's go to the basic borders and shading. Actually, borders and shading has been discussed in our previous discussion on MS Word. But it's not actually similarly the same. But the thing is, we wanted to put on the cell, we wanted to highlight, we can put an underline cover, an underline line. So it's up to you to choose. Is it a tick box border? You can simply drag or select everything and then you put a border. It is actually very useful when you are trying to highlight which are the things that you wanted to specify on your data. can even put the colors. Now, manual formula is quite a little bit difficult to understand. But obviously, we need to have a data, or we need to have an understanding on how to use all of those. So we rather understand all those functions in the formula. For example, we have sum. These are the sample. We also have, after the sum, we have the insert functions. There are actually more functions. Actually, if we're talking of Excel functions, there are around 500 to 600 of them. But we don't need to memorize each one of them. We just need to understand on how to deal with that. The next to sum is an average. Obviously, you wanted to find out all the average of all those numbers we inputted. So you simply type average equal average, and then open quantity. What are the range from that cell? What particular numbers that you wanted to find out the average. Next to average is our maximum. As for all the inputs, you wanted to find out which one of those data that you have inputted from the range of your data is the biggest among the designated list in the numbers. So finding out which one is the biggest is very simple. And obviously, finding which one is the minimum or the smallest will also be very, very simple. So these are the basic four: sum, average, mean, and max. But there are still a lot. There are count. There are things that we need to refer to. But as I've said, there are 500 most functions that we need to be familiarized, or to have a similar idea what are those things. Next, what is a relative and what is an obsolete cell address? Oh, these things are basically two different. Relative is actually you can change the content, you can manipulate the data, or you can actually do whatever you want in a relative cell address. As for the difference of the absolute, it never changes. It is fixed. So it's something like a static one. While the relative is actually vulnerable to every changes that you want. So bear in mind that relative value is not fixed. It can easily be changed. While the absolute cell value is actually fixed and you can never change anyone. We prefer to do that in order to understand that we don't want to change those things. Okay? So let's go forward to the similar. Okay, so these are the parts of the formula: the function, references, constants, operator. Once you have done with your activities, you'll be familiar with these parts. So these are the common 8 errors that we'll actually see or will be encountering in the near future. We have each one of these as explained here. The first one is the value. It contains an error on a space, meaning it doesn't fit in your. The next one is the name. The second one, or the third one, would rather be a div, asking I divide the formula by 0 or an empty cell. Number 4 is the reference. You are referring to something but it doesn't exist. Next to that is a null, meaning there's an let me just clarify. A 0 has a value, while null doesn't have anything. So a null represents nothing at all, while 0 represents something which is 0. So remember that. The next two is a NA, meaning referring to a number, referring to a formula that cannot be found. Obviously, there's a way on how to resolve this. Number 7, next to the last one, refers to an error appears in Excel. So, given a way on how to resolve. Okay. So, for the last number 8, actually, it doesn't have a number 8. So, simply have to number 7. But here's the formula on how to readjust those things. You can actually see the videos. Okay. So, a simple Excel formula, as you have seen, you can simply use an equal sign and then enter the formula. So these are the example. You can actually use a sheet with a cell value. You can actually use the name of the sheet, which you can actually discuss. So here's how you put the range using the sum function and the average function. You can actually all do that into a lot of insert formula. Now here's this typical example of the link to C9 multiplied by 1.1. Whoa, you can actually do that. And here's the link to particular sheet numbers. You can actually link to another sheet or another files to another sheet and then have it to another data. Let's say you wanted to combine a particular data in example in page 1, rather in file number 1, and then you wanted to combine it to file number 2 and then merge it into file number 3. You can actually do that, and then you can actually put a date or add a date by simply using the formula. And there's things like that. There's a lot of things that you can actually do in Excel. Bear in mind that these are the basic formula that we are encountering. We need to familiarize ourselves in the difference of the rows, especially in the obsolete and relative cell. What is the range? What are the common functions that you want to use? Let's say you just wanted to compute. What are the common operators that you're going to use? Is it multiplication? Is it division? Is it addition, subtraction, or you can combine? You can combine the pandas into a formula. Specific functions like average can be also used. Count, min and max will also be particular in use. But in our next topic, we will be thinking of something like conditional logic. Something like what if else, or if then else. So we just simply establish on this tutorial on how do we encounter errors, how do we manipulate them, and then how we create a simple formula, understanding of the basic functions of mean, sum, max, average. So these are the things that we encountered and learned from this. Hope you could able to explore more. Hope you understand things that we wanted to do in understanding the basic functions and problems, errors, encounters in Excel. Hope you learned something. Good day, and see you again next meeting or next tutorial, so we could able to learn more important things and a little bit things that we need. Happy to help and serve. Hope to see you again, and goodbye.